What is going on, guys? So I debated if I was going to do this video yet or not because I'm really debating bringing this to set championships. I have a 16 person one this weekend that I'm bringing my 7-year-old to, and we're pretty excited. He's definitely getting his practice in. Going to try out an aggro strategy. And I was messing with some things and just trying to think of something that people won't expect and can we make it work? And that's obviously you saw the thumbnail, all that good stuff, and that is Ruby Steel. So usually when I deck build, it's try to build it like what's the end game, what are the goals you're trying to do with the deck, and then how do you get there. With this deck though, I felt like that was already pretty self-explanatory. We're playing Ruby, so we're playing the big costs, the uninkables, the power cards. That's why we're playing the Ruby deck. So the end game was actually really easy to decide. And in addition, we're playing Steel, so that means we're playing, the songs. So we're playing really strong songs. So this deck was actually a little different. I almost had to build it backwards, and I'm like, well, instead of building, because I know where I want to go with the deck, I need to figure out how I'm going to build the front end of the deck. And it's just kind of a little backwards from how I usually start out deck building, but it was fun and been testing it a bunch. I think the deck has a lot of answers for Diablo and the Bucky deck in general. Sometimes you're just not going to keep up with them though, right? Like if they double Bucky you early if you don't have an answer, or if they get the turn 2 Diablo shift and you don't have an answer, like that's why it's the best deck, is because if it hits one of those two play lines and you don't have the answer, you're probably not going to win that game. But the deck also can get pretty aggressive and early, so being able to go into like Ruby Amethyst and Sisu decks has been actually working out pretty decent. I'm going to play this deck today when I go to locals, because we're going to hit my son's first big practice in with other people around. So we're going to go to the local shop and play there. I'm going to bring this deck and make my final decision if it's what I'm going to play, or if I'm going to go back to Bucky or Ruby Amethyst or Emerald Amethyst. I'm really not sure, but it's between these four decks for what I'll play this weekend, and I'm truly up in the air, but I would love to play this deck, assuming that last testing session goes as good as the rest of them have. So what do we play then, especially in that early game, right? We have the 4 Robin Hoods. We're playing Steel. We're playing Steel and we're looking for an early play. So Robin Hood is just very, very strong. He's an early shift, and he's just one of the best cards in the game currently. So it felt like a no-brainer. That's the only character we're playing on 1, 2, and Ruby Amethyst does it. The format's slower, and you have so many answers for aggro decks that I think it's actually okay, and it works out really well. So then on turn 2, like I said, the deck can get pretty aggressive early too, for those Ruby decks, for the Sapphire decks, for things like that. And we do it with Flynn Rider, where this card's not going to be as good versus Ruby Amethyst, but like versus Sisu deck, if you get this to stick early and you start to just build up on it, you can really run away with the game pretty handily. Otherwise, though, we do have our Smee. So in Ruby Amethyst, I'd prioritize Smee over the Flynns. But these are kind of the two turn 2 options you have, and both of them apply pressure and allow you to get aggressive and make your opponent start to respond to your board instead. And that brings us into our 3-drop category. Also, obviously Hood and Flynn top decking them isn't very good, but like top decking Smee, he's a 3/3 multi-quester, so it's not the worst card in the world to top deck. Obviously there's better cards, but again, it's not the worst. Sisu then on 3. Sisu following up Flynn is just really strong, especially in the early game when your opponent has a really big hand. For a while, I was playing Whole New World in here, and I am actually re-recording this video because I took it out once again. It's been in and out for all week of testing, and at the end of the day, I don't think I want to play it. I started out at 3, cut it to 2, cut it completely, put it back at 3, cut it completely, put it to 2, cut it completely. I don't think Whole New World should be at 4 for sure in this deck. If you want to play 2 or 3, I don't disagree. Depends on the day for if I agree or not. But right now, and truly, I don't think I want to play it at least. But maybe tomorrow I'll change that. Or today, I should say. Tomorrow from the time we're recording the video. 3 Tinkerbell. Because Shift Tinkerbell on turn 4 is really good into the Bucky matchup. And other times, like her fixing your hand, especially if you're loaded up on uninkables, being able to exert her to draw a card, discard a card. Obviously, discarding stinks, but you're not really losing anything because you get to draw a card, and you just essentially try to replace an uninkable card and unclog your hand. So that's it for our turn 1 through 3s. Pretty self-explanatory, I feel like. Like I said, you're kind of aggressive through the Flynn and the Smee, but you apply pressure with the Robin Hood package. Sisu can really do wonders. One big thing I did like about the Whole New World is, like, I had an opponent actually get 2 castles out on me when I was testing, and I had Whole New World in hand, and I had 2 Sisus on board, and I wheeled them. And now they had 7 cards in hand, so I got +7 on both of my Sisus, and I cleared out both castles in one turn. That felt really good. Another thing that the deck I've noticed, sometimes like versus Sisu, if they claw their way back in, you kind of get stuck at like 17, 18 lore sometimes, and it's a scary place to be in versus that deck. Sometimes you can just play it smart, and close the game out. But I was playing this card at 2, and you saw it from the name of the deck already. Goofy and his super buddies, Goose. Why do I keep forgetting it? I'm Dreamborn, the link. Whatever I said. Oh, Goofy's Super Squad. That's what I called the deck. So we're playing 4 Goofy. Super Goof. That's why it's Goofy's Super Squad. This card to close that game out. Like, it's so strong because, again, this deck does really good early in getting to that high lore count, but you kind of get, start to run out sometimes versus Sapphire decks in that 16, 17 range. So then when they're trying to claw back in, you can slap a Goofy down, rush into them, and get 2 lore, and it really helps you close out a game. So definitely 4 Goofies in this deck, I think, is absolutely the way to go. On 5, we're playing the Robin Hoods. We already kind of mentioned that. We're playing Ruby. So, again, we're on the Mauis. Another rush character dealing with castles, locations, all that good stuff. I actually, testing versus a bunch of my other decks and builds, the blue steel deck I have actually probably caused me the most issues. And that was because I'm playing Formic Duck Manor in it, and that 9 willpower is crazy, and at one point I finally cleared it with this deck, and then that deck was able to drop 2 more manors, and it was just insane. Manor's really good. I'm glad too many people don't play it. Also, I took Benja's out, and we put the Beast Hard-Headed in. The 4/4 is really good. Turn 5's a little bit slower, obviously, but at the same time, we have other strategies to go into those Sapphire decks in the early game that I felt like the Benja wasn't as impactful, whereas like Beast coming down, especially even after turn 5, like turn 7 or 8 or something like that, when they're trying to close the game out and hitting a lucky dime, is really good. Hitting Stone Dragons so they can't just keep getting free ink. Again, really strong. Hitting Fishbone Quill later in the game feels kind of meh, but yeah, like Beast has been pretty good. So that gets us through our 4s and 5s, and that essentially means we gotta close out the game. What other characters are we playing? Well, I chose this playmat for a reason. I'm actually really stoked. I had this one and an Elsa one come in. I did up a template with like the in-play Inkwell. Can't see it on the screen, but I got a deck and discard spot. Then obviously the lore counting. And I'm just trying out a bunch of different images in the background. Bee King Undisputed looks really crazy. Like I said, I have Elsa where instead of a black glow, it's purple glow. Trying out a bunch of cards. Probably do some giveaways on the channel for playmats. I was already thinking about that too, especially like in November, I think I'm just going to go crazy and do like a giveaway every day in November or something, or one where every Patreon gets something, whether it's sleeves. We have our Ursula Friends on the Other Side sleeves. I have my Jafar Wheel sleeves. We have our just Inkwell Gaming sleeves. I'll probably design some more before that point too, and just do like a big spin where each Patreon like gets one entry into it. We spin what the prize is, spin who wins it, and then ship all that out. So hopefully the channel does well enough where I can get the funds to ship and produce the products, and then I just want to do something really crazy close to that Christmas time. That's why I said November, so hopefully they get to everyone in time for Christmas. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, or if I'm just going to do a handful of giveaways through the channel specifically, but between Patreon and the subscribers on YouTube, because I don't want to force you guys into that. I don't want to forget about yous either, so I have a lot planned, but without more details, I guess I should just stop talking about it right now. I'm just really excited because the channel has gone so good. Yeah, thank you guys. For Tinkerbells, I really, really, really like Tinkerbell, this format. Even in Bucky, I play her at 4 because you just ink her early if you have to, but Tinkerbell's so good. Playing her at 4, again, shifting her on 4 versus Bucky feels insane. You get so much value out of her. So that's one thing I actually try to go for versus them. Otherwise, we're playing the Medusas and then one Tremaine. So that's our kind of removal, hitting that back end. I think I'm at 14, maybe 15 uninkables in the deck. That's kind of where I don't want to go higher than. So I like where it's at. Medusa usually is the better, especially versus like Bucky, because she clears the Tragic Hero and she also clears the Robin Hood, whereas Tremaine's much better after a B prep, but otherwise Medusa's just overall better. Into like Ruby Sapphire though, like late game, if they slap a Tamatoa down, obviously you would rather have the Tremaine, but you know, we can't build everything to answer everything all the time. If we could, that'd be crazy. So now let's really rattle off the uninkables. These songs, we kind of showed some already. Playing Force, Let the Storm Rage On. Tinkerbell can help fix your hands. Obviously, if Robin Hood gets cleared, you get a draw. Let the Storm Rage On can give you a draw. That is one thing that the deck could use more of, is draw power. Sometimes you start to run low on resources, but you get things like the Zeus, like Medusa, Tremaine, and most importantly, your Be Prepared. Actually ended up putting this card back to 4 when I cut the 2 whole new worlds. So being able to reset the entire game really sometimes is just needed so you can get that resources back in your hand. And I'd say don't just like they're ahead of you a little bit on the board, or you have nothing on the board. They have 3 characters, right? But you're up 14 to 2 lore. Don't just slap a Be Prepared down because it's turn 7 and you can. The only time I'd say maybe would be like versus decks that you know where they can come after it, like with an Ursula. But otherwise, like sometimes I'll just not use it, or especially if you have like, I guess if you have 2, there's a reason to use it, let them commit more, and then hit them with the second one. Otherwise, if you're against Emerald, you can actually hold it or hold them and let them commit more to their board, and then make them really punish and have to pay for it. Versus Ruby Amethyst, though, did we just break a sleeve? Playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For years. First time this vendor I've ever ripped a sleeve. Good thing I have a few extra. I'm actually going to set that one over here so I don't forget. That's crazy. I've ordered so many Yu-Gi-Oh! Sleeves through them and never had an issue. But anyway, yeah, like don't just necessarily slap it down all the time. Sometimes you're going to have to, but sometimes let them commit more to it, because if you're really close to finishing the game, they might just have to try to go for it and throw another character down to try and win before you get to those cards. Especially if you don't do it on 7, they might, he doesn't have it, I need to hurry up and win before he gets it. Or on the other hand, they'll just, I'm going to hold it in case he gets it. It's kind of a catch-22, But just know you don't have to play or be prepared immediately all the time, I guess, is the message we're going for. Then our other actions. The 1 Baboom and 3 Brawls. So obviously Brawl hits Diablo, it hits Hiram, it hits Ursula. Steel Song's been doing really good. It hits Ariel. Brawl's just really, really strong overall. It hits Flynn Rider if you need to in the mirror match. Surprisingly enough, Flynn sometimes can dictate a mirror match. It's weird because you're playing a lot of the same similar cards, right? So it kind of feels weird to say, but if you can establish it and force them to react to your board, sometimes Flynn can do work in the Ruby mirrors. But also, like, we have the 4 Storms, 4 Brawls, 1 Baboom, so them are all answers to Diablo and the Bucky matchup, because yes, the discard hurts a lot, but them sticking Diablo is what just truly the killer, and what just puts you so far behind is if you can't remove that Diablo, because they're just going to start drawing extra cards every turn. You're going to fall behind very, very quickly. And then lastly, we actually play another 1-drop. So this last card, I was trying to think. I'm like, what else could we do? What kind of like draw power could we have? And it kind of went back to my roots with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Upstart Goblin. Like, you essentially lower the count of your deck, right? So we're playing the 4 Fortispheres, so we're playing a 56 card deck. In addition to that, the banishing this card effect actually comes up a few times. Like, there's times closing out a game where I have, I don't know, let's just say Medusa and a multi-quester on board, like a Smee, right? And you're at 18, and you don't want them to attack your Smee. So you can actually banish it and pay the on ink and give like your Medusa bodyguard, or give like Robin Hood, who's got the 6 willpower, or give a Maui bodyguard. Like, that actually comes up in this deck. Your Sapphire Steel decks obviously don't, because you want to use your Hiram to get rid of it to draw cards. But like in this deck, that effect actually comes up, and I won some games because of it. So again, don't forget that, okay, now you have to attack my Maui instead of taking out, something that might actually save you and win you the game. But yeah, that overall is the deck. Thank you guys for watching. Any questions, let me know down below. Any ideas or suggestions, also let me know down below. Thanks for watching. And again, I'll have more details. Sorry about rambling about the stuff I want to do. It's going to just kind of be dependent on how much I can do on here, get you guys what you need and how it all goes. But I'm really excited, and I hope I can do a lot of giveaways and give backs, because without you guys, I truly have nothing to do but talk to myself. So thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. Take care.